afraid to nap that I won't go to bed anymore because I'm so shot with this kid that, like, if I go to bed, like, honestly, Josh, I'm afraid if I take a nap at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm not going to wake up until 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night.
Oh, not me anymore. I take a nap in the afternoon and I'm still in bed by 9 o'clock at my best. I've aged a lot over the past 2 years, and not in the good way.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Different means maybe to the similar end. Yes. Well, welcome in. Welcome in. Well, you know me. You probably aren't used to seeing the other guy. In fact, I asked Josh, what did he do? This is traffic duty. What did he do to get busted down? Normally, this is one of our top detectives, and today he's wearing his blues. So we welcome Josh in. No, it's the No House Advantage NBA show. As I'm told, both Josh and Mike, our producer, this is it. So this is the last thing they have to do in some cases for the next couple of days. So no, this is how much you can trust Josh's work. Normally, you out there, if you knew you had 30 minutes until you were leaving the office or whatever, you wouldn't be doing anything like this. You wouldn't be giving somebody information or advice. You'd be like, shit, dude, I'm sorry. Like, I can't take that call. I'm already out. Josh, always a pleasure, my brother.
Good to see you. Good to see you. I'm happy to be here. This is kind of fun. I started looking at some of these No House Advantage props for today. And if people are looking at our stuff, there are a couple like stone cold locks that exist today. And I don't throw that term around. People watch my shows. I don't call things locks ever. They exist on No House Advantage. There are things that will not lose today. You have to start your lineups with them. I'm excited to talk about that kind of stuff.
And look, we remind everybody a couple of things here. Again, Josh mentioned our projections. Those are free for you. We have our optimal lineups up there where you can just plug and play. If you don't even want this level of interaction and you just want to be told what to do on screen, we have the optimal lineups. We remind you, thumbs up, subscribe. You know the drill here on the Mothership, the Odd Shopper channel. We have a bunch of other channels that we want you to. And we're going to tell you how you can take advantage of a deposit match with our promo code Stokastic. But I know what you do on the day-to-day, right? We all watch you, Lofty, like we watch you in the greater DFS world. I have no idea, and I'm honest, I have no idea, Josh, how you approach NHA. So I think there are a lot of people who maybe think, you've overlay. There are certain strategies that you can apply just big picture in the NBA here.
Yeah, so, I mean, overlay is the big one. That's no matter where you're playing, that's going to have a contest that has any sort of heft to it. If there's any contest at all, really. Yeah. The first thing you're looking for is the potential for reduced rake or overlay. Reduced rake being like, that they got 1,000 entries short instead of the 2,000 you needed for overlay. But if you're getting it so that they're basically paying you to be in that contest, you're not going to find situations better than that anywhere else. Rake continues to rise in this industry. They're not trying to take in less money at any of these sites at this point in time. So the moment that you can bring that number down or make it negative, you just should jam everything you have into it, assuming you have some sort of baseline on the back end, like, I don't know, say Stokastic's free No House Advantage projections.
Right.
It's simple. That's like number one, you're chasing that overlay. And we see it relatively regularly here, which is great for the user, probably not great for No House Advantage, but definitely great for the user. And then I'm all analytics. Anybody that's watching, if the first time that somebody's seeing me is this show, that's going to be a bit of a surprise to me. But everything is data to me, and that is what for this type of format where you're ranking things on a confidence interval. Data is essential because there are a couple pieces that we're going to touch on that you don't have a choice. You need to put those into that 10-point spot, the 9-point spot, even the 8-point spot, because they are going to hit at what essentially means it's 100%. It just is. It might say 99.95, which is what I'm looking at on my screen right now. I'm going to round that. It's 100.
All right. So let's do that, right? Because you're sorting under first, because that's the strongest play that we have on the board, right? So we remind everybody with our projections, if you're on under and you're sorted down, and again, I don't assume anything from anybody out there because I'm an idiot, so I need everything explained. But you want to make sure that you're sorting both right away to make sure that you're not missing something. Like there's only one that's in the 90 percentile technically in the over. But to your point, Josh, where we should start is Max Strus.
We can go Max Strus or Khris Middleton.
Oh, okay.
I'm fine.
I'm sorry. I thought you were leading to Strus, but there are two options with Middleton. Actually, there are two options, technically two, with each in the 90s. So It's your world, my brother, wherever you'd like to start.
I would start with Khris Middleton before I started with Max Strus, and that's for one reason and one reason only. Khris Middleton isn't back to being Khris Middleton, and that's why this prop looks ridiculous. Khris Middleton has been back for 2 games after having missed weeks upon weeks being out. He played 15 minutes in his first game back. He played 14.9 minutes in his second game back. He's not suddenly playing 30 minutes today in any scenario. They're 8-point favorites in Indiana. I think the ceiling for Khris Middleton on a day like today is probably 20 minutes. I don't even know if necessarily he's going to get there. I projected him for 18 today, which means the line that he has for points, rebounds, and assists of 29.5 is utter lunacy. We have it at 16.6. That is not quite 29.5. I actually have it slightly lower than that. I have it at 16.1. It's always going to be easier to take an under like this right out of the gate, because an over you can lose what seems like a guaranteed over. Say they get somebody's line wrong and it's over a half point for somebody. That guy could just pull a Gordon Hayward and break his ankle in the first play. You can actually lose that. I don't think there's a mechanism for Khris Middleton to go over 29.5 points, rebounds, and assists today without having like the most ridiculous 16-minute performance of his life.
Does a close game change that? And I know the spread indicates that it's probably cruise control more often than not, although we've seen, especially at home, even if Milwaukee gets beat soundly, that's back to your point, right? The shock element. Does a close game into the fourth quarter change that? Because my guess is no, based on how you phrased where individually Middleton is, as opposed to like Strus or the team maybe with another squad.
I would say probably not. Just based on the way that they used him, he came off the bench in the last game, played like a 5-minute rotation in the first quarter, a 5-minute rotation in the second quarter, another 5-minute rotation in the third quarter. And then they just didn't even play him in the fourth. And that game got to be like relatively close. I want to say that they got it to within like 3 or 4 with a couple minutes to go. So they had an opportunity to bring in arguably, their second or third best player, whatever you want to call him, and just try to close for those final extra minutes. They didn't even give him that. So maybe he has the ability to do something like that today, and you go from the 15 minutes that he had up to 18. But even still, he's going to have to be then the go-to guy after being probably a little bit rusty. I just don't see it. To me, he's the first guy that I want to pick. Yeah. That's the easiest one, because there's something weird can happen, and Max Strus can, Jimmy Butler could roll his ankle right out of the gate. Max Strus can now play 30 minutes. You would need like 7 dudes to do that for Milwaukee.
Yes. By the way, I don't even see this. And there are plenty of books, Odd Shopper, where you can shop and find the best. But I was just looking in comparison, because that's always a good point to raise with NHA, where you're going to get soft lines. He's not even on the board. So books aren't even, at the moment, they're not even taking liability with Middleton's PR, PRA, PA, what have you. And I think that's even more of a testament to where you found this here, Josh, because you're going to find a lot of soft spots compared to the books with NHA.
You unquestionably are. Yeah. Middleton's in a situation. Milwaukee does not care how, they don't want him to play a lot of minutes on a Friday in Indiana when they're 8-point favorites. They need Khris Middleton to be healthy 3 months from now. Yeah. This game is so irrelevant that all they want him to do is get out there, run around, stretch his legs. That's why you're not going to see those props at the book. So that's why I see Khris Middleton as the number one option. He's got to go right into that 10-point spot. I wouldn't even think twice about it.
You mentioned something about an individual category, right? Where it could just be off by a half. You get burned by something if it's a point, rebound, individual, even if it's 2 as opposed to 3. So you do have some gap, right? We have a 5 percentage point gap between Strus PRA and his rebounds. The difference, though, in projection versus the line is not that wide, right? Because, again, it's only 5 percentage points on the confidence level for the under. I'm assuming, though, that if you're playing Strus, you're better off going PRA. But the follow-up to that, Josh, would be we don't have ownership, right, from NHA like we do with the big ones. We just have our projections, which we assume a lot of people are on. So could Strus rebounds be somewhat of a pivot of our projections?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't have too much of an issue if you want to try to find a little bit of wiggle room there. If you think somebody's going to try to grab But I think you laid it out perfectly. The visual of the gap for his points, rebounds, and assists.
Can I sound like that too?
Sure. That gap, it looking bigger is just going to draw people to it, even if things sort of look the same. So I would have no issue there going to his rebounds prop or even his points prop if you wanted to. That one's going to be a little bit scarier. You're dropping down in the 80s at that point. But if you're really trying to get a little bit different, I can see it. At the same time, though, it's Strus next, and to me, I think it's also pretty clear once again. But I would probably take the points, rebounds, assist one and just lock it into the 9 spot and not really worry about it, and do my best to try to get different as I work my way down. I would try my best. It's the same sort of approach that I'm generally going to take in DraftKings GPPs or FanDuel GPPs, where when plays are really, really good, there was a stretch of time where you just sort of naturally said, like, oh, if this guy's 50% owned, like, I'm just going to get under the field. And we've sort of zigged away from that again. And you just want to play the guys that are the best and are going to succeed most frequently, and find another spot elsewhere in your lineup to be slightly different. And that's what I would want to do here. I would still just grab that points, rebounds, assist prop for Strus, take the under, put it into that 9 spot right under the Middleton one, and then try to be different at 3 and 2 and 1 and see if that's the spot that gets me basically what I'm looking for is, close to a perfect card.
Sure. Absolutely. And to remind everybody out there, 2 quick things, right? First, once you lock a guy in on one lineup, that's it. So you can't load up on Khris Middleton props here. Same with Strus. But you're building multiple lineups. That's even more incentive. Josh mentioned the benefit of the overlay in here as well with NHA. So you can take advantage of working different Middleton Strus props, mix and match like a puzzle. Some other ones we have. The second one is, hey, we're going to give you some money. All right. I know you may be new to NHA. You saw a tweet. Josh is going to be on the NHA show. Okay, let me check this thing out. What the hell's going on? No house. What? We're going to give you a deposit match. It's $100. You put in 100, we'll put in 100. All you need to do is use our promo code Stokastic, and you can be off and running. And again, you're going to find overlay here like you won't find by any means with the big spots. I don't know if we should hit the Cole Anthony, because that kind of falls in line with that same game we were talking about with Strus, or the play that has a little more confidence in it, Josh, would be, according to our projections, would be Garland going over his assist line. I know that he ruined a lot of people, including my own night last night, by not getting that one on the Bet Pro Tool, but you don't win them all by any means. You still win more than you lose. This line, though, I'm surprised that NHA had it at 6.5.
Well, I think No House Advantage was assuming that, or going with the assumption that Donovan Mitchell could have played today. Donovan Mitchell is currently doubtful.
Right.
So you just see a completely different style for Darius Garland. He sees a massive assist rate bump with Donovan Mitchell off the floor. I'm going to assume that he's not playing today. I'm going to take that doubtful tag at its face. We've already got Kevin Love ruled out from this one. Garland's just going to play, 36 to 38 minutes, upwards of 40 if it's ultra competitive. He could be out there for that much time. And with that increased assist rate, going over a 6.5 mark feels great. We have it at 8.8. I have it at 8.3. Either way, pretty sizably over that mark.
Books are at 9.5. Now it's a little bit, it's not even like minus 150 at the under, Josh. It's under 9.5, 124.
Yeah.
So, now again, that's adjusted. NHA's locked in. So you're taking advantage. You may not have the benefit of hindsight more right throughout the day when locking in NHA lineups.
Yeah. You're going to feel really good. You don't have to think like, that one, like, that was line move. No, the moment you see it, you can deal with everything at 6 o'clock. Like it's not really in your best interest to build early.
Yeah.
It's in your best interest to do this sort of stuff at the 0 hour, because you want as much information as possible. Those lines it's not going to change. You're not trying to catch it while there's something off early or waiting for news and thinking it might move. It's just there already. So acquire all of the information you can. Register, reserve your entries, but you don't need to make sure like anything is set in stone until very, very late here.
I got to be honest, man. We're flying through this, and we haven't like derailed the show. We haven't talked about all the different things that you and I individually and especially collectively could just TNT a show. So
I've done it so much.
Right? Oh my God, you're dynamite, man. And I don't mean to like, hey, you're dynamite. I mean like you're, and I'm the same way. I'm the same. We can't help it.
I assume one of these will just be like not the most interesting slate where like we don't have a bunch of locks and you and I just run it into the ground. That'll happen.
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming. I love it. That's a tease. All right. So you're out there, you know that it's coming at some point. Now we're at Cole Anthony as the only other guy that we have projected in a 90 percentile, and that's in the under PRA. We're at technically our 8-point slot because we've locked in Middleton and Strus unders. So I don't know if 8-7 is where you try to get a little different, or you're still looking in kind of that, not lock mode. I don't want to use that word as much, Josh, but you're looking in the more certain spots, still in like the 8-7.
Yeah, I would have been happy to put that Garland one in at 8.
I'm sorry, we did. You're right.
Yeah, you're good. The Cole Anthony one, I want to say scares me like a little bit. Okay. I actually have this one quite a bit higher than we do right now. I still have it as an under, and I would happily take it as an under, but I don't know if this would be one that I would get to immediately. I actually have Cole Anthony at 17.8 for points, rebounds, and assists. Wow. We have it at 14.5. That is a pretty big swing, but at the same time, both of those numbers are pretty clearly less than 19.5. So it being an under is very clear to me. That level of strength, I'm not as confident. I think that I would be more likely to go and flip back over to the over side and take the over for Caris LeVert's assists at 2.5. Awesome. It's basically the exact same scenario that we just laid out for Garland. We're not going to have Donovan Mitchell. Caris LeVert steps into the starting lineup. He steps into more playing time. He steps into more ball handling duty. I don't want to say that it's a guarantee that he goes over that 2.5 mark. We have it at 4.4. I've got it at 4. I would probably lean a little bit more towards that Caris LeVert piece because I think it's possible that he goes out there and plays like 36 minutes today if he needs to in a competitive matchup. Cole Anthony seems to be locked into that 24-ish minute range. For Caris LeVert to not get over 2.5 assists, that's going to be one where if you lose it, it really pisses you off.
But I like that, you're applying the game theory to somebody, and we're not stretching that either. You're not going down Caris LeVert at 72% and saying, well, he's going to get a bump as well. It's reflected in the change, but not with NHA. The Hield one is just jumping out at me. And I know that, look, I'm not reinventing the wheel with an 88.09% confidence of it going over, but I'll have to check the books. I would think that if it's not moved already from 2.5, you're paying a pretty hefty price to go over 2.5 makes. We have him projected at 4. I imagine you have him projected at least over 2.5 made threes.
Yeah.
In this game. Yeah.
3.8. It's honestly, like even if my assumption here is that the 2.5 is set based on the Q tags that they have on Andrew Nembhard, on Neesmith, on Miles Turner to a degree. I don't really think that any of those Q tags really matter for Buddy Hield. I like that, and I have everybody projected in. It's only going to get more extreme if you rule some of those guys out because there's just going to be more playing time for Hield. He goes from a 31, 32 minute a game guy to like a 34 or 35. So I already think it's unequivocally a great play, assuming every guy is already in for Indiana. So I'm shocked to see 2.5. I would snap take that one. I kind of like that one more than the Cole Anthony one as well. I mean, you're getting basically no scoring for Buddy Hield if he's not making over 2.5 threes today. If you're not taking that one, like don't play Buddy Hield in DFS
at all. Yes, it's a good point. I'm with you, man, and that's why just bringing it up, you would think, all right, the volume's there. The books have it now. Now again, it's been juiced up to insanity. So it was at 3.5. And now it's at 4.5. But I mean, the under is 174. So the true line, I think, is going to be worked down to 3.5. Yeah. But again, a full 3 over, and maybe the Q tags influence the books. We're locked in here with NHA on Buddy Hield. So that's another one, man, that we can just keep moving here. This is good.
And that's also a fun one to sweat. Like overs are always going to be a more interesting proposition for watching the game. You're going to find it to be easier to take unders and feel good about like their success rate. But if you can't find the joy in cheering for a Buddy Hield over in threes, like that's exactly how you want to watch a basketball game. Yes.
I'm with you, man. 3-point props, whenever those first came out legally to bet, my goodness, man, they changed the game. And now it's like, I want to bet it all. I want to bet shots on goal. I want to bet hits. I just want to bet the equivalent of the 3-pointer in other sports.
Right. You want the positive action that everybody in the stadium will celebrate.
Yes. Nothing wrong with that, man. See, you're a man of the people. All right.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Now, if it's the opposite, like let's say, what's going to be the best example here? I mean, we're going to have to use baseball because I wouldn't have the same sort of basketball experience. But if I were at a Yankees game, then I would want to bet the opposite side of anything for the Yankees to rub that in their faces as it happened. But if I were like a normal person, I would be cheering for the home team in those situations, and I would be cheering for those positive outcomes. But I'm not a normal person for some of those things.
I'll tell you real quick. I was at the Eagles-Packers game Sunday night this year, and I had a couple of wagers on the Packers, and it was pretty uncomfortable. Now, I am a 20-plus year veteran and living here in Philadelphia, so I can fake it like the best of them, man, because I knew like the very second that something came out, like even a little twitch of like, ooh, I didn't like that. What's he doing?
So I like those situations because, and that would be something that I would do if I went to an Eagles game. There's a decent chance that I would want to bet on the Eagles. That way, like I like the life hedge of everything. Yeah. There are situations where I've bet on, I used to be a big Duke fan. I don't care as much about college basketball anymore, but I was a big Duke fan. But there were times where I would bet on North Carolina in a North Carolina Duke game thinking like, okay, if I'm going to be pissed off tonight, at least I'm pissed off with more money. I will happily buy a Duke victory if I can. It's a no-brainer in some situations.
I love that. Can I steal that? The life hedge?
Yeah, I'm stealing it from I'm stealing it from Ben Raza.
Oh man. Well, now that it's Ben's, I feel like, all right, now we have to credit the credit tree. Like Josh then stole it from Ben. So I'm sure Ben stole it from somebody at a poker table. All right. So
I wouldn't be surprised.
Now we are close to it. I am curious, man, because I know you have a couple of spots that jumped out at you that you really like. So please let's hit some things that do jump out at you. But is there an area that we can get a little lower when it comes to points, Josh, that we can have a little wiggle room or simply maybe fade? And it doesn't simply mean, you go over D'Angelo Russell's rebounds because that's at 4.5 and, we have a projected 3.3 and you're fading the field. But maybe it's something similar to the Cole Anthony where I'm not playing that, but I'm so far away from my confidence level with our projections that it's going to be a pass for me, or I'm putting it down as like a 1.
Yeah, there's probably a few out there. Let me take a quick peek. I saw one or two that, like, when I looked at it, I was surprised to see that we had it as high as we did.
Do you remember overs?
So, yeah.
You go ahead. I jumped in. Sorry.
Unders.
Okay.
Like, we have Jordan Poole at 3.3 rebounds, 79% likely to go under. I actually have it at 3.9, which brings you a lot closer to the 4.5 line. That starts to get a little scary to me, where we're obviously still both under. I think it would rank a little bit higher if people were just scrolling down here. That might be one that I'm willing to go to in that 1-2 range instead of as high as like we might have originally thought. Kind of the same story for D'Angelo Russell. I don't like it. I like it. I'm a little bit more nervous. The Poole one is worse. When I look at the overs, though, I'm really targeting that Cleveland game. Not having Donovan Mitchell in has changed the props for everybody from Cleveland. I see Evan Mobley's points prop for us at 17.8. The line is 11.5.
Wow.
I got it at 16.9. So clearly I'm happy to just grab Evan Mobley. I think that's a big time swing. Jared Allen, same situation. Basically the exact same points prop, same line. I look at Jared Allen, I got him at 16.5. That's a 5-point swing. I am very happy to just sort of unload a full clip on Cleveland if I can.
I love that. And especially, again, it comes back to being able to take advantage of stuff that's locked in on NHA side where it's not fluid and moving like the books. We're almost out. I do want to remind everybody about what we're doing here. And you, I know, have been talking about this tool as well. It's all over the place. And the best way that I've been describing our new Bet Pro tool to the betting world, Josh, like the odd shopper community and beyond, because I know me and I know people, and I know people just want to be told what to do. Right. Yes. And that's it. Like, people come to you to be told what to do, but I think they also come to you probably just to hang with you. Right. Right. And you telling them what to do is kind of like secondary. The Bet Pro tool is essentially just you sign in, you're going to get a first week free. And we're only going to do that for another 3 days. So you better jump in on the sucker right now. And as Mike shows you, you're going to get this free week trial, but it's just telling you what to bet. It's telling you the best place. It's using a combination of the sharpest minds we have here at Stokastic, Sean, Alex, Steve, right? And then it's also matching them on the market from a betting standpoint. So, for example, you may see a play that is spot on when it comes to projections. Oh, man, two point, but it doesn't work from a betting standpoint. It doesn't work at the market. It doesn't work at that book that you want to go, DraftKings, what have you. It's going to drop. The confidence level is going to drop. We're not going to put you in a bad economic situation just because it matches up with the projections. This is amazing. It's constantly updating. All this different stuff is in there as well, right? So you have a lot of stuff. Caught myself, right? But you have a lot of other stuff going in here that you can take advantage of. I love this, Josh, because I'm an idiot and it's just telling me what to do. Oh, and by the way, this is the kicker because everybody wants to know, is it working? It's abso-fucking-lutely working.
It is. It is working. And we're seeing that in the data on the back end. We're seeing that in just like, user submissions, just like general people being like, hey, by the way, this is working. But we've got the data on the back end that's showing it as well. And it's all here. It's all laid out in front of you across multiple books. We're telling you how frequently we think it's going to win, the value of that bet, how much we think you should bet on that actual pick, like the, Precious Achua, but 14% of your bank, whatever that piece is going to be. Every single individual detail for that bet exists in the table for you across whatever sports books you're playing at, potentially multiple sports books. It makes it so simple. We've got color coding just in case some of these lines are a little bit weird because of potential injuries and things. So we're taking that stuff into account as well. It's the same baseline projections that are getting used on the DFS side. So there's no reason to not take the smarts from all of the best players in the DFS space and port that over to sports betting. To me, it just became as the sports betting industry has grown, this has become an absolute no-brainer for us. We were always going to be the analytical side of the DFS space. It lends itself perfectly to exactly what we're doing with the Bet Pro package.
It's amazing because, as we wind down here, you're cutting out time in your own day out there for where you're not doing as much research, but you're handing it over to people who are proven in their research, right? Like you're not outsourcing this to an intern where you're standing up. Oh, did they cross the T's? Like that's got it. No. You're just like, okay, I can trust proven winners here. So I love that, man. I'm telling you, anything I can do to appeal to the laziness in me that's successful, we've got a winner here, brother.
You're preaching to the choir on that one. I am as lazy as it gets. Anything that I can do to continue to be lazy, but also have it work for me successful, it's the dream scenario.
That's the American dream, lazy and successful at the same time.
That's why we've worked so hard. We've gotten to this point now. That's what we want. I want to sit on my couch and have everything.
I'm glad you just said sitting on the couch and have everything, because I was being criticized yesterday for walking around in sweats, not the same sweats, but sweats for like 2.5 days. George Costanza over here. Whoa. I put 25 years into this so I could walk around in sweats as many days in a row as I like.
I legitimately never take them off. It's a very, very rare opportunity. My wife is similar. She probably wouldn't want me to say that out loud, but we both work from home. We've both worked from home for years. Amazing. At this point in time. We're not getting all gussied up for anything. Right. She might put on a different shirt for a particular Zoom call at this point, but it's all up front. We're like, it's like Wilbon. I'm wearing a jacket on the top. I got shorts on underneath.
I love it, my friend. I love it. Well, this was too much fun. We only have a half hour. We've already gone over that. So is there anything else you'd like to get out before we get out?
Make sure you're paying attention to No House Advantage every single night for potential overlay or at the very least reduced rake. It's the best thing that you can find in the industry. If you're signing up with us, you're getting $100 of a bonus if you put in 100. You're starting with 200, and you have the opportunity to be getting into contests that don't have rake in any form or fashion. You're not going to find a better place in the industry to try to build a bankroll.
I'd say stay tuned for Josh, but we won't see you until Monday, right?
Sunday. I'm Sunday live before lock NBA. I'm on Sundays now. No more. I kicked NFL to the curb.
Well, look, there's more important stuff for you to do. Speaking of the NBA, the deeper dive live before lock, both coming your way, 5 o'clock, Lofty and Adam, and then it's Greg and Neil. So don't go anywhere in 57 minutes. You know, you're already subscribed. You hit the notification bell. You get an alert. We'll see you. Have a great week.
Go Birds.
And go Birds.
I know it. Lofty invited him to come watch the game with him. Josh was like, I'll go. Lofty's like, yeah, they're not my friends.